up, everybody? It's your boy Jay, and I am back once again. So it is time for another shot of pop culture. So I hope you have a comic chaser. If not, I've got one prepared for you. So let's go. Welcome to episode 2 of Comic Chaser, my weekly comic book review series. That's right, we are back once again, folks. You guys seem to have responded well to my return to weekly reviewing for comic books, so we're going to continue it. And this week is a lot lighter because obviously last week's episode was like 2 weeks worth of books. But this week we only have 4 books to cover, well, 4 books in a trade. So we'll definitely go through them a lot faster. But I will be getting into spoilers, of course, so spoiler warning ahead. And I also will be talking about a trade I picked up at my comic shop. So shout out to Comic Kings for that, if any of y'all happen to be watching this video. But yeah. So we're going to start off strong with the latest DC Absolute book, which is, of course, Absolute Superman, issue number 3, written by Jason Aaron. I cannot remember for the life of me who the artist for this book is, and I'm sorry. I know who the full creative team is for Wonder Woman and Batman, but for some reason I cannot remember the Superman artist. But this was a really good issue. Honestly, the first 2 issues of Absolute Superman did not hook me nearly as well as Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman did for me. But this issue is what really sold me on the series now. Because this issue actually really showed off kind of the core of Absolute Superman and the fact that the core of Superman himself as a character is still intact. So this is actually a much more flashback focused book. We don't actually get much of the present day except for like the very last page at the end, with a little bit of a reveal that we'll talk about towards the end of this little section. But it mostly focuses on Kal's childhood on Krypton, which is really interesting. We actually see that this Kal is very similar to mainline Clark Kent. Kal-El is, coordination challenged, so he couldn't really make it into the police force or the law guild, which makes sense. Clark has always portrayed himself as a bit of a klutz, so it makes sense that this Kal is as well. But the really interesting thing is kind of seeing the difference, but yet similarity to Kal's upbringing versus Clark's, and how Laura and Jor are actually very similar to Ma and Pa Kent. They are both sets of parents are encouraging, loving, supportive. Kal's teacher brings up his grades and how he refuses to, use the basically kind of AI generator to write his reports, and he wants to handwrite everything himself, like some kind of weird analog retro geek. But it makes so much sense for Clark, and the fact that he has a passion for writing and telling people stories and getting the truth out, it really kind of hammers home that little bit of connection that he has with Lois Lane, and that spark he ignited in her. In issue number 2, if you remember that, I didn't actually get to cover issue 2 in a video. We might go back and talk about the other issues later, but it makes a lot of sense. We obviously get to see him and Crypto. We love our good boys here, so I was hyped to see Crypto, and I swear, Jason Aaron, Crypto better have made it. We have not seen Crypto in the present, but that dog better not have died in the explosion of Krypton. Otherwise, I don't care how good this issue is. If Crypto does not survive into the present, I'm going to drop this book. You think I'm joking, but I'm not. I really am. I love dogs, man. You can't do this to me. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I love the rebellious spirit and sense of justice that both of Kal's parents have, which kind of informs his kind of more brash and reckless actions as Superman in the present day. So it's really cool, and we get to see Laura actually test out what would later become Clark's solar supersuit / spaceship that we see him use in the present day. And it's really, really dope. The art freaking kills it, man. Uh, there's a lot of good action in here. Like I said, the importance here is kind of the beating heart of the family, and we also find out that actually Krypton and its upper class actually does know that the planet is slowly dying, and they've already started preparing arcs, but only, of course, to ferry the upper class and elite of Kryptonian society, which, of course, sucks. The rich people are assholes. Who would have figured that's a, common thing, even among intergalactic species? Who knew? But, yeah. So, we also get a mention that, they have they're building a spaceship big enough to carry themselves and some of their cousins, as well as some of their neighbors. But we do not see Laura or Jor in the present day. So obviously something goes wrong with their launch. Maybe the higher ups in Kryptonian society actually attempt to sabotage their escape, and they're only able to get Cal out. I don't know. I have a lot of different theories about that, but we'll see how that plays out. It's really interesting. But overall, Absolute Superman #3, really solid book. I said I was going to go faster, and I spent 6 minutes talking about this book, but it was awesome, man. Batman, issue number 156. This is the penultimate issue of Zdarsky's run. I believe the art is done by Tony S. Daniel. This is City on Fire. And this right here, man, this arc, I haven't been covering it because I've, just started doing these comic videos. But this arc has been so good. I was not a big fan of the Zerana arc that happened after Failsafe in Zdarsky's run, but this arc feels like such a return to form, back to basics. Batman versus the Riddler and the Court of Owls. All the whole thing with Gordon and Mayor Nakano, and we find out Gordon was fucking Mayor Nakano's wife, and of course, we do discover that Gordon did kill Nakano, but there's a twist that makes a lot of sense. We find out that Gordon was actually being mind controlled by modified Mad Hatter tech that was put into his glasses, which is what caused him to kill Mayor Nakano. But shout out to Mayor Nakano's wife, because Jim comes to her all happy and is like, hey, turns out I didn't murder him. I'm innocent. It doesn't matter. Maybe we could be together. And she's like, no, what? What is wrong with you? You are still angry at him. He's still the father of my son. And you were mind controlled, but you still murdered him. No, I do not want to still be with you. Get away from me. Which, I like that there's consequences. That, Jim can't just go fucking up and expect things to be okay. And some people might think, oh man, why would they do that to Gordon? Why would Gordon step out of bounds like that? You guys haven't been reading Batman for long, have you? Because Gordon had a history of infidelity. Need I remind you that he cheated on Barbara Sr., Babs's mom, with Sarah, I believe it was his partner or just a young woman he met. And then Sarah ends up getting murdered by the Joker in No Man's Land, and this is like girlfriend number 3 for good old Jimbo here. And Jimbo apparently just has a habit of wifing the side chick, and it just doesn't work out, Jim. You need to learn your lesson. But the real meat and potatoes here is the Batman versus Riddler conflict, and again, it just feels so classic. Batman solving riddles, going through the tower, trying to chase Riddler down, and stopping all these terrorist attacks that are being caused by these mind-controlled security guards. This feels so just classic Batman. It is so fun. I really enjoyed this. I had a blast with this, and I cannot. This is the penultimate issue of the arc, and then after that, Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb will be taking over for Hush Part 2, which I'm super excited for. I cannot wait. But this is once again a very solid issue. I'd probably give this a 4 out of 5. The Absolute Superman, I would probably also give a 4 out of 5 as well. It was a good book, but not quite my pick of the week. This right here, man. This is an underrated Batman Elseworlds book. It's technically a Black Label book. It doesn't have the Elseworlds logo on it, but this is awesome. This came out in October. I've been reading it digitally, and I picked up the latest issue. This is Batman Full Moon. As the title implies, this is Batman fighting werewolves and he himself being inflicted with the curse of lycanthropy. It's awesome. I love the magical side of the DC universe, man. Justice League Dark, John Constantine, Swamp Thing, all the Vertigo stuff. This feels like that. I love the art by Stefan Humig. I'm really mispronouncing that name, but it's great. It feels so. It has this kind of inky noir vibe again that just feels like a Elseworld story that I would have like read in one of like the Elseworlds collections from the 90s. All those Elseworld stories from the 90s love turning Batman into some kind of horror movie monster. And they're great. Like, all three, parts of the Batman vampire saga. And of course, now we have a werewolf story. It's great. And need I mention that Batman and Zatanna are a thing in this book? Look, some of y'all might not be shippers, but honestly, I think Batman and Zatanna are a very underrated pairing. I know everybody loves the Bat and the Cat, especially Tom King. But personally, for me, I've always enjoyed Batman and Zatanna. I think Zatanna helps to bring out that kind of like a little bit of joy in him, because a little bit of the magic, pun intended, and it's a lot of fun. Of course, Kirk Langstrom is heavily involved in this, because of course you got a man bat who's basically a giant vampire bat. Why wouldn't you have him fight a werewolf? And of course, they're trying to figure out the how to cure Batman from his lycanthropy curse, which was inflicted on him at the end of the last issue, part 2. I believe this is a 4 or 5 issue miniseries. And by the end of it, they realize that the only way they're going to be able to deal with this is to go to the old country. So I believe they are headed to Romania to search out some ancient mystics and wisdom to try and break the curse. Since this is a Black Label or Elseworld story, I wonder if they're actually going to be able to break the curse, or if this is going to end up turning into one of those issues or those worlds where Batman isn't cured of lycanthropy, but he is able to like maintain his sanity and kind of like be a Batwolf type character, where like he retains his humanity while still having the enhanced physique and powers of a werewolf. I mean, doesn't that sound badass as fuck? I would watch this as an animated movie. This, no joke, might be my pick of the week. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Yeah, this is my pick of the week. I enjoyed the hell out of this. If you love classic monster movie tropes like werewolf stuff and Batman, this is the book for you. I love this. Like I said, I've been reading this digitally. I ordered the 2 back issues off Amazon because I would have just went to my shop and like got the back issues, and I was like, no, I'll just go ahead and buy it myself. I need this ASAP because this series is so good, man. I want this in the physical collection. This gets a 5 out of 5 from me. I absolutely loved this. Normally, I'd save my pick of the week for last, but I wanted to gush about this a little more. So real quick, Deadpool and Wolverine, written by Brad Percy. I don't remember who does the art, but this is the first of a new ongoing series starring Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, got to cash in on that movie, movie synergy. Deadpool and Wolverine was an amazing movie, probably one of my favorite movies of the year. This past year of 2024, because this is the first comic chasers of 2025. Happy New Year, y'all. And this is pretty interesting. We don't really know what's going on. Deadpool gets roped into gets mind controlled and kind of gets roped into dragging Logan along on this adventure, and we find out at the very end who is pulling the strings, and it is none other than Cable's evil clone Strife from the 90s. As soon as they mentioned Executioner, I was like, oh shit, are they going to do some Executioner song shit? If you've read X-Men in the 90s, you know all of those events. E is for Extinction, Executioner song, all that classic stuff, and Strife showed up, which is really interesting because they're bringing Strife back and they're giving Cable his own little miniseries, so that's going to be interesting to check out. The action in here is really good. Ben Percy, of course, he wrote Wolverine for a really long time. Dude knows his way around Wolverine, and his Deadpool humor is really solid. I think this is going to be a really fun ongoing series. Like, this is kind of just to turn my brain off, enjoy the action, and be along for the ride. But who knows? Ben Percy's a great writer, so I think I'm still going to have a blast with this. I'd give this like a 3.5 out of 5. Nothing to write home about, but if you like these two characters, you won't be disappointed. If you've got room on your full list, I'd recommend it for sure. Last but certainly not least, we have Ultimate issue number 8, written by Dennis Camp and art by Juan Fayeri. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. This is just kind of okay. I'm not gonna lie, this was all exposition, and it was really heavy and dense. As you can see from the cover here, this features the Ultimate Universe version, the 6160 version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a really nice homage to the classic Guardians of the Galaxy roster from I believe it was like the 31st century. It had like Major Victory, Yondu, Cosmo, and some other people on it. This version of the Guardian has a version of Star-Lord, a version of Captain Marvel, Captain Universe, and essentially they kind of come back to rescue America Chavez, who apparently in the original 6160, before it was altered by the Maker, was a member of this Guardians team. But when the Maker did his thing and altered the universe, it kind of fucked with her, messed with her memories. Again, lots of heavy expositional dialogue, and by the end, it's just kind of America kind of showing her resolve and being like, look, I could go back with y'all, but I've made a commitment here, and I'm going to save this world in whatever way I can. And it was cool, but like, I didn't really care. We didn't get any real developments on any updates on Iron Lad. No kind of look at the Cabal, the Maker's Cabal. We just kind of get to see the Guardians of the Galaxy to kind of tee them up as a potential allied force for the Ultimate when the Maker does remain, which we do still have a countdown. I believe it said like 9 months remaining. So it was alright. Like, this series has been pretty solid, and I've really liked it so far. Again, this is one of the ones I've been reading digitally, especially issue number 4 with that shows the the origin story of Ultimate Doom. Really good stuff, but like, this was just kind of all dense, heavy exposition, and I'm not gonna lie, halfway through my eyes were kind of glazing over and I was bored. 3 out of 5. I'm not gonna drop Ultimates. It's still really good, but definitely the weakest of the bunch this week. And last but certainly not least, I want to quickly talk about a trade I picked up at the shop. Ultimate X-Men Volume 1. You're going to hear me say this a lot. I read this digitally, wanted to pick up a physical copy because I would have honestly picked up the Ultimate trade too, but I saw this one first. And this is written and drawn by Peach Momoko, and it has this like manga-esque art style if you're familiar with Peach Momoko and her work on Demon Days and stuff like that. I absolutely love this book. Look, the entire Ultimate Universe has a different vibe to it, but this feels the most different, but at the same time, very similar to the Absolute Universe. It is very true to the core of the X-Men, because this book is all about found family, uh, personal trauma, and teen angst. Lots and lots of teen angst with a lot of manga esque um, inspired flavor, especially because this is set in Japan, starring Hisako, aka Armor, who is one of my favorite Wolverine female sidekick characters. She was very popular during the Astonishing X-Men era. I zoomed in way too much. Let me fix that real quick. But yeah, she was really popular during the Astonishing X-Men era. Uh, I think she was created by Whedon. But yeah. Uh, she was also, if you guys remember this, she was the ride-along character in the short-lived Studio Madhouse X-Men anime, aka one of the two only good Marvel animes to ever come out of that lineup. Uh, you can't dispute me on that one. The only two good ones are the Blade anime and the X-Men anime. I don't know how you fumble the bag on Wolverine. Dude is a weeb himself, and yet that series sucks. But, it's whatever. You know what series doesn't suck? This. This series is so dark and interesting. Some really cool twists, and what a fucking cliffhanger at the end of issue 6. I cannot wait to be covering this week to week or month to month when I catch up on Ultimate X-Men. This is so fucking good. I'm probably going to end up, getting the back issues from the shop as well so I can catch up on Ultimate X-Men. This was amazing. I loved it. I said I wasn't going to make a long video, and once again, this is a 20-minute review video, but I hope you guys enjoyed anyway. Also, hope you enjoyed the new intro, courtesy of our boy Brian. Thank you again, Brian. You did great work. And tell me your thoughts on any of these comics, if you've read them, or what did you pick up this week. Let me know what your pull list looks like in the comments down below. And yeah, I will see you guys again for another shot of pop culture. So get ready for a comic chaser. But until then, I'll catch you next week. Peace, y'all.